Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this technical platform webinar by GSMR Virtual Academy. Our guest presenter this evening is Engineer Hosny Elsayed, an award-winning reliability and asset management consultant and currently a digital transformation expert at Mardin. His most recent achievement is the 2019 Uptime Award for Maintenance, Reliability and Asset Management. Having 28 years of rich industry experience, Engineer Hosny implements industry best practices in physical asset management and maintenance and reliability engineering processes. Furthermore, he advocates plant improvement processes as well as reliability and operational excellence development and implementation in addition to business process auditing. Without further ado, let's begin the webinar. Engineer Hosny, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Malisha. Thanks all GSMR team, and I'm delighted to be with you today. And thanks for all attendee. And our webinar today, we're going to be talking about MRO digitalization best practice, how we could be getting MRO as enabler to our business, not as obstacle. Quickly, I think the team has been from GSMR has been introducing me, but to be knowing me more, my name is Hosny Elsayed. I am a partial mechanical engineering consultant degree, 28 years of experience. I am basically from Egypt. I start working as a maintenance and operation engineer in multinational force and observer. Then I have been working as a mechanical maintenance engineer in Egyptian General Petroleum Company. Then I start my career abroad outside of Egypt in Equid Petrochemical. Then I have been working on Borouge Petrochemical in UAE as a technical service manager. And then I have been founding and the managing director for Rexpro Asset Management Consultant on Egypt. Then I have been started again back to Saudi Arabia on Gulf area as a mine and refinery reliability engineer manager on Ma'aden Aluminum Refinery that I have been established and starting the reliability department. Then I have been moved on Ma'aden Corporate as expert digital transformation. My last achievement was being the Uptime Award on last year. In field of maintenance and reliability as a special recognizing of our effort on MRO. So this presentation actually are going to be focused on what we have been did and what is the challenging and how based on the Uptime Award. Today agenda, it is MRO business challenge, MRO life cycle roadmap. We are going to talk about lean inventory management system and MRO optimization tools and the business improvement result. MRO biggest business challenge. What our biggest challenge on to be managing MRO? So we need to be understanding the challenges so we could be able to be mitigating the risk and try to be improving it. So the challenges we have been decided or to be classified on three aspects: supplier, spares, and equipment. So from spare side, that where we are and where are we exposed to supply risk? Do we have preservation procedure, even preservation procedure during construction, during project phase? What are the items due to delivery? Are we expediting after due? Or we are proactively expediting the spare parts before it has been due? How many critical spares should we have? Do we have a right MRO at right quantity or not? Do we have a spare parts criticality ranking? What are our urgent spare need now? What are the spares that is required today, now? It is not only that maybe we are having out stock or stock out items that is not fulfilling our requirements, but what are the spare now? If I having 100 items, what are maybe the critical few that I needed today to be managing my business? Zero stock, stock out, turnover ratio. Do we have MRO dashboard? We need to be understanding our performance in MRO field. How we could be evaluated and monitoring our inventory parameters. Do we have a system to calculate and to correct the min-max parameters? Very, very important. That is, we are sometimes we are setting up the min-max or the inventory parameters since maybe 5, 6 years or 10 years, and since we are not being reviewing and we are not being calculating it, we need to be understanding this risk. From equipment aspects, how it's our asset bill of material health metrics. So is all our material being linked to our assets or not? Do we monitor MRO consumption rate? This will be indication also for asset reliability. If I'm consuming much from some items that it's not being planned to be consumed, so that's meaning I have some problem on my asset reliability metrics or asset reliability performance. Do I have easy and accessible searching tools for MRO and asset BOM? How easy our people could be searching for the material on system-wise, and it is accessible for everyone or not? How we are monitoring rebuildable and internal manufacturing spares, rebuildable process, that the items that will going to be repaired and returned back to being issued from warehouse and repair after sometimes and then returned back to the warehouse. So having repairable cycle or repairable cycle, some company call it repairable cycles. So this will be min-max 00. So it will not be monitoring, this one it will not be monitoring through the system itself. Who are our critical supplier from supplier point of view? 80% of our moving items supplied by 20% of our suppliers. So in such a, it is Pareto principle, and you could be thinking that the moving items and fast moving items, it could be focusing maybe with some couple of suppliers. So we need to be knowing those suppliers and how they are performing. What are the supplier lead time and the average lead time by supplier? What are the supplier delivery performance and the quality of delivery? That's what about on-time delivery, or he's always been delay on delivering our spare parts or not? How much we could save if we are improve lead time by 20%? Think about this. It is not every time that I having a problem with supply chain, I need to be updating the min-max or to be increasing the min-max. This it will be impacting on your working capital and inventory cost. So think about if you're going to be agree with the supplier on to be improving the lead time just from 100 days to 80 days. You will be surprised with the result of how much saving you're going to be saved. So LIMS tools, lean inventory management tools, is reflecting huge saving. We need to be exploring a local supplier instead of overseas supplier also. Purchasing from OEM, not from vendor, original equipment manufacturer. Internal manufacturer capability. Some of the items, if you are think about it, some bushes, some sleeves, some items that is, it could be with your capability in-house for company could be able to be manufacturing these items, and they are sometimes very costly. So if you are going to be analyzing your work order cost analysis, you will be surprised. If you are going, we have been doing this on from 2015 up to 2018, and we are continuing. That is more or less what are the PM material cost, what is the PM labor cost, PM service cost, CM material cost, CM labor cost, CM service cost. So if you are going to be get the material cost itself, that we are called MRO or the spare parts cost, that been spent on our spare parts and spend on maintenance cost, you will be surprised. As you could be seeing here, such a real data example, 86% was been in 2015, 49% 2016, 56% on 2017, 65% on 2018. That's in average you could be says around 65% of your maintenance cost being spent on spare parts. So it is huge. It is one of the big contributor on your maintenance cost. So if you're going to be would like to be making some improvement, try to be focused, or try to be, I'm not just try, you have to you have to focus a little bit on MRO performance. It will be get indication for your asset reliability as well. So MRO spares in the most of organization will compromise 40 to 60% of all maintenance cost. So it is a big chunk there that you need to be focused, and you are going to be able to be improve asset reliability even while you are focusing on MRO. You are going to be discover some problem also of your asset reliability from analyzing of your spare parts. As Peter Drucker says, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. So it is not possible to manage what we cannot control, and you cannot control what you cannot measure. So we need to be measured, to able to be monitoring, to able to control and achieve for improvement. Do we managing MRO on reactive or proactive domain? Many of organization I have seen it, and I have been work that's MRO or the spare parts managing, it is being acting as reactive. So once the spare parts has been get out of stock and you are not able to be get it, or they are delaying from a vendor or blah blah blah, you will start to be act. We need to be change the way of our working or our dealing with the spare parts. It is one of your assets. So it is your choice. You would like to be continue or reactive and firefighting on MRO managing, on spare parts managing, or you would like to be take a step to proactive work. MRO business challenge, MRO is viewed as a spend category. MRO is a business enabler, so not just a spend category. So we need to be very well and to be focused how we could be get this enabler on our side. Not we are always going to be fight and maintenance fighting with procurement, operation first, fighting with maintenance because spare parts is not still available, and the maintenance will be fight with procurement and warehousing and so on. We need to be stop these firefightings and to be try to be working on proactive approach, not on reactive approach. MRO is business enabler, as I said. So, but we need to know how we could effectively manage it. We have to get this on our top priority, or one of our top priority. So symptoms of ineffective MRO, that's no standardization of material structuring, that's inconsistency in MRO description. So if you are going to be having bearing description, motor description, you're going to find different structure or material structure that is not giving you support. Excess spare parts inventory and the high cost of inventory. Difficulty to determine what to stock and how many you need to be stock. Stock that just does not move. Non-moving item and slow-moving items. We are more focused on it? Are you from time to time you are reviewing it? High level of obsolete spare parts. Downtime and loss of production and maybe safety risk also due to stock out, the spare parts unavailability. Consistent stock out. I always have a problem with the stock out and zero stock, and we are not improving. So how we could be solving this? How we could be get out of this dilemma? Low level of inventory accuracy and turnover ratio. Difficulty to identify critical spares. What are my critical spares? Which one I need to be focused and which one I need to be try to be improved? Trouble controlling repairable spares. High amount of non-controlled of overstock. I have overstock issue. Imbalance of lead time. My lead time for supplier, it is not balance, is not being constant, or the variation, it is very low. Demand planning forecast are inaccurate. That's maintenance frequency also. This could be impact. High cost of storage, handling and preservation. If you are having overstock and you're having more than you are required, that you are going to be get cost of purchasing that's not been included also. Uncertainty about end of the life spare parts, replacement and disposal cost. Wrong delivery, supply discrepancy, cycle counting discrepancy. Vendor and supplier unreliable. I have issues with the reliability of supplier. He's not been supplying my my spare parts on time. Freight forward, logistic performance. Are we monitoring it as well or not? So in such a case, we are going to be seeing how we could be maybe as understanding also the life cycle and roadmap that we had we are trying to be implemented, and I think we have been successful to be implemented, to be able to be saving almost $13 million within 3 years on only spare parts and improving asset reliability as well. So how it could be this, I think everyone may be knowing that the asset life cycle, so we are connected or interacting or try to be matching the spare parts or MRO life cycle with the asset life cycle. So from operation readiness, we are starting with the SPAR process, spare parts interchangeability record, process and procedure, material structuring and the cataloging system, material certificates. What are the certificates that we are need when the supplier will going to be supplied the spare parts or the material, asset material and maintenance BOM process, warehouse management, MRO preservation procedure. So all this we could be started from operation readiness just before the startup. During operation phase, we are need to be monitoring and they're going to be developing or to be having a dashboard, how our MRO dashboard, how's the performance. So we have been developing system called LIMS development and implementation, MRO dashboard, MRO data cleansing and enrichment project, LTBA lead time, LTBA long-term purchase agreement with the supplier. So we are trying to be agree with the supplier. As I mentioned, you are almost maybe having 80% of your supply from 20% of your supplier. So in such a case, we need to be maybe agree with our supplier to be agree on lead time, on pre-agreement lead time, and maybe a cost. So in such a case, we could be able to be improving our performance on MRO. Reliability excellence, repairable process, reliability excellence, inventory management process, REX, it is stand for reliability excellence, REX kitting and warehouse management. All these 3 pillar or 3 items from reliability excellence concept we need to be established and try to be improving also on our spare parts management. Also on disposal and replacement and disposal, how the obsolescence and surplus management, what we're going to do, how we're going to be managed. So as life cycles in more on details little bit, as I mentioned before on previous slide. So SPAR, spare parts interchangeability record process, we need to be having material structure and cataloging system, asset BOM and material BOM and maintenance BOM process, linking all the asset to MRO preservation procedure in operations, how we are going to be preserving. You have a lot of asset and the value in your warehouse, so we need to be able to be managing those spare parts as well. Lean inventory management systems that we are real-time measurement and the control, MRO dashboard, improve MRO availability through zero stock, stock out, and urgent, potential overstock and monitoring even before it is becoming as reactive on overstock. We need to be monitoring what are the potential overstock. Monitoring and repairable internal manufacture process, monitoring supplier performance, tracking MRP parameter change process. If you're going to be change min max or change the parameter, inventory parameter, how we're going to be track it. We need to be having a process and to be able to be seeing what has been changed and why has been changed. So MRO data cleansing also, I will going to be explain this in details. REX repairable process, REX kitting process, REX inventory management process, material certification identification, and LTBA as I mentioned, and obsolescence and surplus management. This part we are calling data driven, they are made a difference. So we need to be having a data will be telling us something that we could be improved. So if you are going to be focusing on data and the performance, you could be able to be improve your performance on MRO. So the cleansing enrichment project is very important. I could be says one of the basic foundations that for your MRO journey improvement. That's who our original equipment manufacturer identification. Not only I'm purchasing from the vendor or supplier, but who's this part has been supplier. Duplication identification, update asset BOM and material BOM, identification or identifying items subject to repair process, identifying items that could be internally manufacturing, discrepancy and the inspection and resolution. So we are having a lot of discrepancy sometimes inside our warehouse or when it is being arrived. So how we could be solving this? Part number identification and update, obtaining part photograph and uploading to the customer system, material structure data enrichment, like in SAP, maybe the long description, because we're having a short description of 40 characters. So how we could be enrichment your long description, that will be reducing the time for any technical clarification by supplier. Identifying and update material certificates requirements, review, update preservation recommendation as well. Review and update storing condition. How is your store condition for each items? It is need to be under AC, it is need to be climate control, it is need to be under shade. How you're going to be and to be managing this? You have a lot of investment inside your warehouse. Creating new item structure description and review and update inventory procedure form checklist as required. Quickly, I would like to be covering also lean inventory management. I know that's maybe I'm tight with the time. So lean inventory management system objective, MRO data driven. As I mentioned, it is data driven decision. So MRO data driven system to enable business decision. Building and maintaining a lean inventory management revolves around 4 main attributes: demand management, cost and waste reduction, process standardization, and culture change. Demand management, proper planning and forecasting. I need a tool that could be able or helping me on proper planning and forecasting, and declaring unwanted demand from system. Sometimes like we already having a problem, or one of the problems that could be impacting on your overstock, that you are not being clearing the work order demand, even the work order has been completed. So sometimes the system will going to be reading this as still demand, even you have not been issuing it. Enhance asset and the material bomb, especially for long lead items. Cost waste, controlling surplus and obsolescence, avoiding and tracking overstock, highlighting potential overstock, cash generation and cost elimination on the field of the spare parts. Process standardization, also we're having one system used by all, one platform accessible by all. Management visibility, real-time data driven, as I mentioned. Culture change, that we are promoting and implementing lean culture as to be eliminating the waste and reducing the waste. Dashboard, our dashboard, or the dashboard, we have been developed a dashboard that is more or less has been measuring MRO inventory value, stock out. We are trying to be classified as zero stock, stock out, urgent item, shortage, and flow minimum. So we could be understanding when we are classifying this, or try to be eat the elephant on small bite, that we could be understanding where our problem and where we need to be focused. MRO cataloging performance, repeatable process, overstock and potential overstock, fast and slow moving monitoring, turnover performance, turnover ratio for our warehouse. So this it is example of our dashboard. That's whatever I have been mentioned to you on each items, and we are monitoring, and you could be able from all these items, you could be seeing the trend, and is this matrix going up or down. You could be click and try to be getting the spare parts that you have a problem directly on it. Like we already here as a small example on stock out, what our service level agreement, how we are monitoring zero stock, stock out, urgent item, shortage, and so on. So all these items you are monitoring, you could be able by clicking. It is available on your tip fingers, that you could be knowing how's going on and what's going on your spare parts. MRO simulator also, you need to be from time to time to be, as already mentioned, the min max need to be optimizing continuously based on consumption and based on the failure rate, or the consumption and lead time. So two major parameters, or two main parameters that could be optimizing your min max. It is lead time by supplier, as well as consumption rate. That's indication for failure rate also on your asset, how frequently you are consuming this material. Based on these two parameters and standard deviation, and we are having a calculation methodology and calculation engine on the system, that we could be able to be optimizing our min max, as well as we are, if you are going to be also improving your lead time by 20%, how much cost you're going to saving. Instead to be increasing your min max, you could be just, if you are improving the lead time, you could be able to be optimizing also your inventory level. Such example, this one of the examples, that's we having min max 212, and we are having stock out counting 2 times these items has been out of our stock. So by optimization, we could be seeing the optimal minimum and the maximum, and we are safety stock based on your service level or confidence level. percentage, you could be even with this, we are reducing our cost by this much of money. That's we are and improving the availability. So it is not mandatory that I need to be improving the maximum. No, sometimes if I improve the minimum and keep the maximum, even reducing the maximum, you could be even solve the problem. As well as you could be seeing also here, if you are improving your lead time by 10% or 20%, how much maybe is impacting on your spare parts. We are also monitoring based on this simulation how it will be looks like you based on your consumption and lead time and the standard deviation on post on lead time and lead time demand. You could be able to see how your performance based on this data. So it is visualized. We could be increase our confidence by updating the MRO parameter. We could be able to be solve our problem. MRO, so as a business improvement result, when we are implementing this, we are able to be saving around 13 million US dollar over 3 years on optimization and or repeatable process. We have been able to be saving 6 million US dollar. By what is the main contributor here? That we are enhanced MRO material description and sourcing from OEM to eliminate price escalation. We are resolution for duplication and updating min-max. So once you are getting maybe duplication resolution, you could be able to be even optimizing your min-max because the quantity it is now higher, and we could be sharing this with others with other assets. Emphasize internal manufacturing capability, alternative local supplier, improve lead time and the cost, controlling and eliminating potential overstock, clearing active demand on complete work order manually and auto. Developing MRO Performance Dashboard, this part of LIMS as I explained it, with continuance of improving our min-max and our spare parts availability. We had been able to be eliminating almost 13 million US dollar over 3 years from 2016 up to 2018. As well as in 2016, we have been implementing the repeatable process to identify and review, update repeatable items, developing implementation reliability excellence repeatable process, testing and repeatable Oracle in EM workflow process, and the capitalization all items above 50,000 Riyal, and we are getting the repeatable types. So in such, it is having a process procedures and the workflow that we are able to be saving this much of money also and increasing the spare parts availability. This some real photos that's on 2016, which we are getting the best DI. It is like the idea that has been implementing was saving 6 million US dollar, and on 2018 we have been able to be saving 13 million US dollar, and this has been my basics that I already been apply for uptime award on 2019, and we are winning the 2019 uptime award. That's all from my side. I hope that I have been able to be add something. I would like to thank GSMR and all the team there that has been giving this chance on the first virtual academy webinar. And it is time for questions if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Engineer Hosny, for sharing your insights. We will now have the Q&A session moderated by Engineer Hosny Elsayed, Project Engineer at BAPCO. We invite our attendees to share your questions in the question section of the GoToWebinar console. Engineer Hosny and Engineer Hussain, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Hussain. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Engineer Hosny, for the very insightful presentation. You know, it is a harsh part of reality that unfortunately all of our businesses are dealing with right now, which is narrow profit margins. You know, as you mentioned, due to the COVID pandemic, which created a reduction of manpower and alongside with the reduction of oil prices, it has been a difficult time for our organizations to operate smoothly during this period. So if we actually start focusing on the points that you mentioned in your presentation and, you know, implementing lean manufacturing techniques or focus on improving reliability and implementing LIMS, it is our way of having a competitive advantage. And as you mentioned, this is about 60% of the maintenance cost. So if, you know, if our organizations start taking this up, it actually give us a chance to slump over the narrow profit margins, hopefully. So thus on that note, I would like to open the questions to the floor for any questions. Please share them in the chat and I'll read them to Engineer Hosny. So, before the questions start pouring in, Engineer Hosny, I have a question myself. So you spoke about, culture change being a huge aspect of the MRO optimization program that you guys went through. So what were the steps that you took, in terms of culture change, which you applied in terms of the lean LIMS methodology that you implemented? It is something new, so a lot of people who might have had a negative reaction to it. So in terms of culture and having a lean culture, what were the steps that you took?
Great questions, Hussein. Thanks. Definitely one of the, I could be says, big obstacle for any organizations has to be try to be changing the culture of the people. One thing that we are able to do it that we have been lean manufacturing process because you already been, as you mentioned, even we are on a very narrow profit margin with current situation and recession, and especially even I could be says from metal industrial, it is not like oil and gas. We don't have such a big profit margin. We need to be lean manufacturing process. We need to be cost focused. So we have been implementing actually operation excellence and lean manufacturing process in the entire organization process. We have been giving training for the people about what's meaning of the lean, what's meaning of operation excellence, how we could be get cost saving. We have a system in place for we are and awarding employee also to be reward the employee on their idea that we could be saving money. It is very great system that we could be get the culture change also, that all the team or all the employees, they are focusing on cost saving and cost avoidance. So we have a system called DI, a degree of implementation, that is being captured the idea from the people and try to be implementing the idea on structure phases. And based on that, we are capture the saving every month and every year for then maybe 1 year or 12 months, how much you have been able to save based on this idea. So the DI process and the degree of implementation that has been implemented has been able to be create the culture of cost saving and lean manufacturing. One thing, as I mentioned, also training for the people, continuous communication about the achievement by those ideas, rewarding the people and communicating this reward based on their achievement. It will be also helping to be creating the culture of lean aspects. So yes, indeed, it is. It's not easy, as you are mentioned, has to be build the culture. But with communication, with management support, with system in place, you could be able to change the aspects and the vision for the people.
So yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot of things that you need to do, especially in culture change. I think, in my opinion, it's more than the actual technical aspect of the things. Yeah.
Indeed, people are going to making the difference. People, we are the people, and if you are invest with on your people, try to be tell them what you are facing, what is the current market challenges, and how we could be saving this, how we could be idea, promoting the system itself, promoting the concept of lean methodology. We have been starting this green belt methodology, black belt methodology, and the team, and get the project on Lean Six Sigma projects. This has been also been creating the concept and the culture with the people within the people themselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's a question from Eid Al-Utaybi. He says, from your experience, what cases you could share about how 3D printing improved the MRO?
Sorry, again?
So Eid Al-Utaybi says, from your experience, what cases you could have that you have maybe in your experience that about 3D printing, how it improved the MRO?
I could be says to be improve MRO, you need to be measuring the performance. The first thing that you could be or you should be to for any improvement, I need to be knowing where I am and where I want to go. So measuring your performance, what's your current performance? Do you have a correct data? The quality of your data also is very important. So I need to be able to be ensure that where is my data, how I could be trusting my data on MRO, measuring the performance. It is should be always in front of my eyes, not to be if such example, if I would like to be asking now, how many items and what are the items that it is being out of stock. Maybe sometimes it will be taking 1 day or 2 days to maybe material management to reply to me. Okay. No, I need to be. Yes. Yes.
He had a question about 3D printing quite specifically, because you mentioned that some spare parts you can actually manufacture in-house. So he was talking about, have you guys focused on looking at 3D printing as a tool to manufacture?
3D printing. I thought yes. Yeah. No, 3D printing we are not been implemented so far. It is it's a good questions. We are not. It is part of digitalization thoughts but we have not been open it yet. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what's your opinion regarding that?
Sorry.
So what's your opinion regarding 3D printing? So would you think it's a viable solution?
To be frank with you, personally, I have not been tested, but I could be see with technology, very fast technology being improving. I could be says why not? It is part of our digitalization also points that we are exploring now. We have not been implemented, but I think it could be for some of the items that could be very useful. But maybe the technology at the moment, maybe it is a little bit costly for 3D printing. So in such a case, it's supposed to be how much or the cost of technology against the cost of implementation or such example. So 3D printing, it is a good technique, especially for internal manufacturing. I'm still supported, but we have not been implemented yet.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question from Mohammed Ibrahim. He says, so how are you able to go directly to the OEM? You know, some OEMs actually force you to go to a local agent. So it's a problem that we're having in this region. So how would you guys go around that?
Very good. When I'm saying original equipment manufacturer, let me say some of this. It is part of we are call it enrichment or the project that we are been starting. Data enhancement and enrichment. This our spare parts description. We need to be enhanced. I will give you examples that from some of the vendor. That is, we are such example. We are purchasing a bearing with his part number. We don't know is this bearing it is SKF or FAG or whatever. So we have been purchasing 2 times with very high cost and with very long lead time. So we are bringing the people, or we have been investing. We are bringing some of the people from SKF or FAG or whatever, or some of from our team to be visiting our warehouse, try to be identifying these items, okay, or those items that is we don't know what is the actual part number for it and how to be ordering. And instead, I'm ordering from XYZ. I'm ordering for directly from original equipment manufacturer. When I'm saying original equipment manufacturer, even the part manufacturer, not from the supplier or the vendor himself. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Such a description, by enhancing your material description, you could be able to be getting this, and you could be able even to be getting from local supplier. And such the example I giving to you, we are having almost 1/10 of the cost. We have been purchasing the new purchase 1/10. So instead, such example, 50,000, we are purchasing by 5,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a big difference.
Yeah, and really.
Yeah. So there's a question from Martins Okan, who says, it is practice that non-technical persons are employed to oversee the MRO store. In your opinion, what is the best practice, and what is the impact of this impact on the performance of the MRO department? So when you have non-technical people, so it's a quite relevant question.
Unfortunately, very good question. Thanks. Unfortunately, sometimes yes. Sorry. Some of yes, indeed, maybe the people that's from inventory or the material management or warehouse. It is not being technical, and this is the reason I'm going to be recommending that the warehouse being I'm not saying managing by maintenance and reliability team, but interacting. I could be say interacting, or we have been good relations. That's reliability and maintenance teams. They are more or less on day-to-day working with the warehouse and the procurement team to ensure everything is being done correctly. But by receipt chart, if you'd like to be making a receipt chart, that responsibility, accountability, and the consultant information that's to be knowing on each business process who will going to do what. We could be also solving this such maybe interaction, what is the responsibility of reliability team. So description and improving the description was being given to reliability team, reliability department. So when we are all the technical aspects being driving by reliability team, not by warehouse and the procurement team. So in such a case, we are closing this gap, as well as let me one extra mile. You could be having and we having, like we are call it reliability walk inside the warehouse. So we are going and visiting the warehouse from time to time by reliability engineer. We are having our reliability engineer scatter over the year with some reliability walk. So every maybe 2 months or something that our reliability engineer going and visiting the warehouse, try to be solving the problem, try to be seeing what going on, if there is any preservation problem, and so on.
So a major part of the reliability engineer and a big chunk of his time is actually working with procurement. So
yes,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and this is the reason, to be frank, you have been building this dashboard to be having a system that's been reading from Oracle and populating the performance in each step, in each material. So we could be able to see this, and this is accessible to our reliability and the maintenance team and procurement as well.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question from Ala Omar, which says, what is your experience with the insurance items for critical equipment that are purchased and stay years in stock without being used or moved, but their lead time is very long and the equipment is critical? So what do you do in that case?
So you already solve the problem by the question itself. You already says insurance item. Insurance items to ensure your operation from big risk. So such example, maybe a big rotors or a big compressors or items that's very long items, long lead items, and very costly, but it is securing your business continuity. So to ensure your business continuity, you have to be storing this. So we have to be identifying these insurance spares. We are already putting under monitoring, and you have to be, first of all, to be very careful to be preserving very well, because when you are needed, you should be able to be use it, not to be maybe operated or something like that. As well as we are capitalizing this, because insurance spares normally it will be part of the CapEx project. So at the end of the day, from operation cost expenditures, it will be we are putting on our warehouse with value of 1 SAR, because we are capitalizing this as a part of capital projects. So from cost perspective, we are solving the problem like that, and from management perspective, we need to be monitoring the preservation of this, and from time to time you are inspecting. If it is big rotors, has to be maybe putting on a stand, vertical position under nitrogen barge on container or something like that. So you have to be aware about one of the problems. Some of the people been focused on this, and maybe big motors, they are not being focused on it. I could be having like a big motors that is as a standby, because it is maybe very also could be as mitigating the risk, but the motor was not being rotated, was not being preserved. Preservation, it is very, very important. But as you already mentioned, yes, Hussein?
Yes, no, I was saying, Yep. So the main focus item is you have to work on preservation. So there are critical items. There's nothing more you can do.
Yes, indeed. As well as you already mentioned, insurance spares, by the name itself, it is to ensure your business continuity. I cannot be avoided. It is needed, and we need to be how to be managing and how to be focused. This it will be stay similar on the same reliable condition as our asset on the site.
Okay. So we got another question from Hussein Fawzi, which says, are there any best practices to determine spare parts criticality? So pretty much, what methodology do you guys use to determine the criticality of your spares?
Very good questions. Normal criticality of the spare, it will be following the criticality of the asset itself. Let's differentiate. From time to time, I would like to be, I could be says good questions and good debate normally from some of the material. That's APC analysis. That's more or less, it is been defining what are the high cost and high moving items. That's this item is very moving, and it is very high costly. So from EPC analysis, they are trying to be identifying this by high cost and the high moving items, very fast moving items. So they are being focused on those. This it is a little bit different than the item criticality from operation point of view, from maintenance and operation point of view. I could be having this very fast and should be focused by inventory team to be ensuring this is available as A class or something like that. That's with some value, but the item criticality, it will be following the asset criticality as well. So if my asset is high critical, my spare parts that's linking to this asset, it will be high critical. If my asset moderate critical or low critical, the spare parts for this will be low critical.
Yeah, so first rule is you're going to follow the asset criticality. Then if there is anything else, then you would adjust it per requirements, correct?
You should be following the asset criticality, as well as maybe the second stage from asset criticality point of view, you could be apply the APC analysis. That is the fast moving items and with high value. This it will be more critical than maybe the low if you would like to be ranking them.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So we have a question from Khalid Al-Kawari, who says, what is the optimum time between reviewing the min and max level of our inventory? So is there an optimal time?
Very good questions. Thanks, Khalid. The point here, one thing that we are reviewing by also the problem at the moment from the dashboard itself, the items that's more or less it is being stocked out and maybe overstock, and that's the item fast moving item also. Based on categorized, if you are having this dashboard, you could be able to be what are the items you need to be focused. So as a priority, I'm going to say is you need to be all the stock out items, you need to be ensured that it is being optimizing, and to knowing the problem, it is a lead time or the min max. This one things. The fast moving items, I need to be reviewed at least once in a year. The slow moving items, I could be maybe reviewing by every 2 years or something like that. Non-moving items that is not moving more or less for entire 3 years, I could be still again optimizing. That's maybe it is very high level on min max and I don't need it. So in such a case, don't afraid that to be identifying those slow moving items that's maybe overstock or whatever, because if you are optimizing it, if you are reducing the minimum and the maximum, you could be maybe the quantity on your warehouse could be higher than the maximum, so it will be identified as overstock. Don't afraid from this, but you need to take the decision what you need to do in overstock. And instead to identify the overstock today, it is much better to identify it after 5 years, because today it could be maybe you could be find a solution to be sold it out, to be maybe give it to some of sister company. That's such example if you are been talking about maybe in Emirates ADNO group or maybe Aramco group here or something on Saudi Arabia, that we could be having a sister company to be providing them the overstock items today offering for selling or something like that. So take the decision today, much better than to be closing your eyes about the problem. So this is very important. This is very important. So I'm going to say is get first the problematic items that's maybe overstock and stock out items, then go for fast moving items maybe once in a year. It's just to be try to be optimizing. Slow moving items maybe once every 2 years or something like that.
Okay, perfect. So we have another question actually from Khalid, which says, what are the best practices in managing non-stock items?
Yes, non-stock items, that's meaning on demand. I call it on demand. Yes, that's is being requested on demand. Whenever you are needed, you are getting. These very good questions. So in non-stock items, first of all, I would like to say is you need to be cataloging as much as you can. What's meaning? Cataloging is to be define the spare parts in your catalog on your material management system. Even you are going to be order it now or you're not going to be ordered now. So the first step need to be enhance your cataloging. So all the items need to be defined on your material management system. Second thing, link those items to your spare part, to your assets. So in such a case, let's take example, I having a pump. I will not going to be all the items, all the bill of material, I will not going to be ordered to be stock items. Some of them, it will be stock items with be managing min max. Some of the item will going to be on demand. So I have been defined it. So once I need it, I will going to be ordered. I will be ordered. This is the concept of we are call it on demand or non-stock items. you need to be defined, you need to be understanding, so it will be easy for you that when you are needed, you will be able to search it under the asset, and you could be automatically, by reserving this material, automatic BR will be generated. Yes, indeed.
Okay. So what are the criteria that you would say this item is an on-demand item, you know, rather than having it in stock?
Yeah, let me say this is more or less qualitative analysis,
Okay.
not quantitative analysis. This is based on the experience from the people. So more or less, let me say, what is the very, very important step, maybe I would like to be said here. If you are going to be doing FAMICA or RCM process, this it will be based on the failure mode. You will be able, one of the outcome to be decided, what are the spare you are need. So FAMICA and RCM process need to be done even on the project phase, okay, before operation. That's we could be understanding the failure mode, and based on the failure mode that it was highly likelihood to be happen, you need to be order this material. So I need these spare parts. So outcome of FAMICA or RCM, it will be decided to you what are the spare needed. If I'm understanding very well the failure mode and the likelihood of this failure, we could be able to be identifying the spare parts that's needed. So this is the first step. Yeah, second step, by maybe experience from the people that has been involved on the process itself.
So you're looking at FMEA, FMICA, RCM, and OEM recommendations and experience pretty much. So
yes, that's right. Yes, indeed, indeed. Yes. Okay. So in the failure mode, understanding the failure mode, it is the crux in all reliability.
Exactly.
Yes. So if you are understanding all the failure mode and try to be accurate on this, and maybe I will going to be recommending FMA also need, after maybe 2 years or 3 years of operation, need to be updated, because it will be you having a data for the failure now that could be changing your vision or your entire process. What are the failure mode? How's the consequence of this failure?
Exactly. And even the operating context would change as well. You don't know what happens in every couple of years.
Indeed.
So we have maybe time for a final question. So from Hosny Elsayed, he says he works in an OEM supplier, and he can see that the major issue he's facing is that customers all the time come in late asking for parts. So is it a good idea to cover a right engagement to suppliers? Pretty much, so what is the engagement you need to have with suppliers? Because from the supplier's point of view, he is having a problem with late orders. So how to avoid that from, let's say, the customer point of view?
Very good point, and this which we are trying to be implemented also as LTPA, long-term purchase agreement with some of the supplier. As I mentioned, on maybe 80% of your spare parts is coming from 20% of your supplier as a concept. So we need to be established, especially for fast-moving items. We are having a history, especially maybe after 2 years or 3 years of operation. I have a history of my consumption rate. So based on this, my history of consumption rate, I could be go with engagement or with a contract with our supplier to be ensuring this my estimation that I'm going to be ordering these items from you within the next 5 years. I need to be approved or getting maybe fixed cost and agree on the lead time. And based on that, we are coming with agreement or some partnership. I could be saying that the supplier will going to be helping his partner to with the business itself, that could be understanding the problem and solving together the problem. Yes, indeed, if I don't have this such things, unfortunately, because the breakdowns and unexpected failures, this could be making sometimes the rush and getting everything on expediting, and I needing these spares tomorrow. So he will be under pressure. But if you are having good planning process, understanding the failure, try to be anticipating and try to be having historical data accurate, and go to with the supplier with some partnership, it will be helping the post supplier and the operation plant in good shape.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I believe we have 5 more minutes. So let's answer one more question from Abdullah Al-Gahbani, who says, any initiative like interchangeability of spare parts between plants to enhance MRO? So 2 different plants change spares.
If you could be see it here, we have been the first step on our MRO life cycle. It was been the spare parts interchangeability. We have been started from the project phase to be having the SPR or yes, here on operation readiness, even before we are starting, we're having the first things that SPAR process procedures. The spare parts interchangeability, it is one of the crux to be improving your MRO life cycle. So I will, yes, indeed, and especially if even you're having maybe 2 or 3 APC and they are supplying from different aspects, we need to be seeing the interchangeability between APC, and even if you are having expansion project that with old warehouse. So sometimes this it will be reducing a lot. During my work on Bruges Petrochemicals on Emirates, we have been saving almost millions on this exercise by interchangeable between expansion of the project and the existing project. That is, we are being estimated to be having 80,000 line items extra. We have been reducing to 60,000 line items with the new expansion. We have been reducing 20,000 line items, almost eliminating by interchangeability. Yes, indeed, interchangeability, it is very, very, very important step.
So thank you, Engineer Hosny. Thank you, Engineer Hosny. It's been a very, very insightful presentation. Myself and all of the attendees have enjoyed it significantly. I've written down a lot of notes, which inshallah we'll be applying in our organization. Thank you very much. And I'll pass it on to the GSMR organizers.
Thank you, gentlemen. We now come to the end of the webinar. On behalf of GSMR's Board of Directors, I thank our guest speaker, once again, Engineer Hosny Elsayed, and our moderator for this evening, Engineer Hussein Al-Delami. Our participants have definitely benefited, some great insights and knowledge exchange going on. So thank you, gentlemen. GSMR Virtual Academy looks forward to welcoming you soon for yet another informative and interactive session. Until then, stay safe and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
My pleasure.
you. My pleasure.